According to scientific opinion, Homo sapiens have existed for around 300,000 years. This is, of course, evidenced by the corresponding fossil finds that have been discovered in Africa over many years. The Mesopotamian empires, the ancient Egyptians, and some Chinese ethnic groups are considered to be the first advanced cultures in history to be distinguished by their particular social complexity. It's well known that these highly exciting people look back on thousands of years of history, regardless of whether it was the development of the first legal system, the writing system, or the wagon wheel. We still draw on the many achievements of our ancient ancestors today. In light of this gripping topic, however, we shouldn't ignore a question that some people have in mind. Were the advanced civilizations mentioned really the first advanced civilizations to ever walk the globe? Or does the Earth's history contain clues to something that no researcher ever thought possible? The traces of a people that existed millions of years ago. Today, we'd like to take a closer look at this fascinating topic with you. But before we get started, be sure to hit that like button and ring the notification bell for more videos. Also, stick around until the end to learn about the most compelling piece of evidence we have for this groundbreaking belief. On the trail of earthly life. Dense primeval forests, extensive swampy landscapes, and above all, mighty primeval lizards that come in the most varied shapes and forms. If we turn back the wheel of time by many millions of years, our Earth seems to represent a completely different world than today. It's well known that the dinosaurs, which at the time dominated practically all niches of the Earth's fauna, were to be wiped out as a result of a momentous asteroid impact. In addition to the immediate effects of the impact, it was above all the long-term consequences of this event that presented life on Earth with enormous challenges. The galactic missile likely kicked up a cloud of dust that rose into the atmosphere, blocking much of the sunlight and drastically changing our planet's climate. Combined with the devastating tsunamis and shattering earthquakes that also accompanied the impact, it seems almost unbelievable that even a single species could survive these drastic processes. But, as we know, life always finds a way. At this point, let's engage in an exciting thought game that's actually been on the minds of many people for quite some time. What if an ancient human civilization existed millions of years ago that, like the dinosaurs, was destroyed by a severe global catastrophe? The problem with this riveting question is that, in contrast to the T-Rex and friends, there's no trace of such ancient high culture. A look at history shows that even the most complex social systems and achievements don't protect against the forces of nature. Consider the decline of Minoan culture. The Bronze Age people who lived on the Greek island of Crete probably perished in a massive volcanic eruption. The Indus culture, which began around 2800 BC and ended around 1800 BC, had to admit defeat as it fell victim to some kind of force majeure. The Indus Empire, with its advanced brick houses and clever irrigation system, was once home to millions of people. However, it's thought that as the rains lessened, the bustling city turned into an arid wasteland that was eventually forced to be abandoned by its residents. At this point, we'd also like to mention the exciting legend of the mystical island kingdom of Atlantis. This magnificent empire, which was characterized by its exuberant wealth, its progressive way of life, and its unrivaled power, is also said to have fallen victim to a severe natural disaster. However, whether the remains of Atlantis actually slumber at the bottom of the sea or whether the ominous island kingdom never really existed has always been disputed. An ancient civilization. As already mentioned, the oldest known fossils of Homo sapiens come from Africa. The continent is therefore also referred to as the cradle of mankind. In fact, the corresponding finds in their entirety prove one thing above all: it was a long time before man was able to achieve his modern form. In fact, more than 1,000 different hominid fossils have been discovered, showing that the human race crystallized over a period of millions of years. If we take a look at our current civilization at this point, it becomes all the clearer to us how quickly the industrialization of the world really took place. Within just a few centuries, mankind has succeeded in achieving countless technical milestones. Via steam engines and railways, the development path would eventually lead us to automobiles, airplanes, and even manned space travel. In view of this lightning-fast development, some people wonder whether an ancient civilization that's now lost, perhaps millions of years ago, might have also managed to develop such technological achievements. In fact, a few people who believe that a highly developed advanced civilization actually walked our globe at that time consider it probable that precisely that civilization was technically vastly superior to ours. A particularly controversial theory even says that the species in question were not humans, but extraterrestrial settlers from other worlds. In this way, it might also be possible to explain why there's no trace of such a mysterious culture today. Over the course of millions of years, the species may have recognized that our blue home planet is not really very suitable for its purposes. As a result, the extraterrestrial beings would have boarded their spaceships and finally turned their backs on our earthly homeland. However, comparable pictures are also drawn in the world of pre-astronautics. This parascience says that the ancient humans were in lively exchange with extraterrestrial beings, which they worshipped as supernatural deities. It gets even more exciting when we consider a thesis that's based on this almost unbelievable assumption. According to this, we humans would also be the descendants of this ominous alien species, which means that we would actually come from a completely different planet than Earth. What do you think of this assumption? Is this a conceivable variant, or do such theories belong more in the realm of science fiction? Let us know your thoughts on this in the comments. Inexplicable artifacts. As exciting as such ideas are, they're beset by a formidable problem. There's simply no accepted evidence for them. Some people, nevertheless, cling to the thesis of an advanced civilization millions of years old, citing the fact that most traces of this civilization might have been lost over the millennia through natural processes. Whether we believe the theories or not, countless mysterious artifacts have been discovered that, to the best of our knowledge, shouldn't exist at all. This includes, for example, an ancient Viking compass, which can easily keep up with modern GPS devices in terms of precision. The enigmatic clay vessel that went down in history as the Baghdad Battery also quickly suggests that our ancestors were possibly much more advanced than we ever dared to dream. An ancient nuclear reactor that was discovered in West Africa a few decades ago seems even more inexplicable. The age of this uranium deposit, which started a nuclear chain reaction, is estimated at an incredible 2 billion years, but we can't know this for sure. The corresponding nuclear reactor was also active for around 500,000 years. Officially, however, it's said that this was a completely natural concentration of uranium. However, people who believe that this was in fact the work of an ancient civilization naturally hold a slightly different belief. In order to create the necessary conditions for maintaining a nuclear fission process, several factors must meticulously interact. The fact that these conditions meet naturally and over several 100,000 years is often considered impossible. The fate of mankind. As is well known, the history of the universe began around 13.8 billion years ago, if science is to be believed. After the Big Bang, which describes the joint emergence of matter, space, and time from a previous singularity, many billions of years should pass before our native solar system, with all its different celestial bodies, came into being. The age of our Earth is therefore estimated at around 4.5 billion years. Although such periods of time often seem abstract and very difficult to grasp, they prove one thing: the existence of our species represents no more more than a fleeting blink of an eye within the entire history of the Earth. If we try to compare this with the dinosaurs again, one thing is clear: just because we're currently the dominant species on Earth does not necessarily mean that we'll exist forever. Should we one day fall victim to a global catastrophe, climatic developments, or our own way of life, it's possible that our traces will also be erased from the face of the Earth over millions of years. Assuming that humanity disappears in the distant future along with most of its traces, would it then be possible for future civilizations to authentically reconstruct the life of our day? Or would the salvaged artifacts possibly paint a completely distorted picture of our actually highly developed everyday life? Who knows? Maybe in thousands of years we too will be nothing but a modern myth around which the most adventurous legends are entwined. The truth is, even though we're a highly advanced species, there's still a lot about our natural world and our history that we simply don't know, and we may never have all the answers. Honestly, we still don't know how exactly we ended up on this blue planet in the first place. Science seems to suggest that everyone we know and love is nothing more than an accident. However, ancient texts claim to believe otherwise. Many ancient people worshipped one or more deities and claimed that we were put here for a purpose and are destined to serve a higher power. In reality, most people refuse to believe either of these theories and admit that they have no idea how we ended up here. Though, regardless of how this all came to be, one thing is for sure: there's more to our natural world than meets the eye. The SAJAMA lines. There are many mysteries of our natural world that have remained unexplained for thousands of years. This is one of the biggest mysteries we've ever uncovered, but we still don't know the story behind it. Known as the SAJAMA lines, these lines are actually long stretches of road that have been carved out of the undergrowth. Thousands of years ago, humans had incredible mapping abilities that we're still yet to understand. We were somehow able to create amazingly accurate maps and make our way across landscapes in ways that we couldn't even imagine today. The skills that were required for this remain unknown, but it seems like ancient humans may have had access to long-forgotten knowledge that may have helped them on their journey. The SAJAMA lines are no exception. These lines are a network of thousands upon thousands of paths that extend over a straight stretch of land and don't turn, bend, or waver in any way. In total, the lines cover an area of about 22,000 square kilometers. Our research seems to claim that the lines may have been used to help indigenous people navigate the difficult terrain at least 3,000 years ago, but we really don't know for sure. To put this into perspective, imagine you took a stick and drew a line in the sand for about 10 or 20 feet. While the line may seem straight as you're carving it, when you stand back, you'll always realize that the line bends a little. It actually takes a lot of math, calculation, and preparation to create a line that is truly straight. But get this, the SAJAMA lines were not carved into the sand. They were carved into patches of trees, grass, brush, and undergrowth over hundreds of years. Yet they are somehow 100% straight and don't bend even a little bit. This would be nearly impossible for humans to do today. So how did they do it all those years ago? We have no idea. The gigantic system of lines is so huge that you can't see it all from the ground. The only way to understand how large the lined area is would be to take a helicopter or a plane and look at it from above. That makes it even crazier because humans obviously wouldn't have had these technologies all those years ago. Or did they? Either way, we have no idea what these lines would have been used for, but it would make sense that they could have been used to make navigation a bit easier. The other option is that they were used for rituals or religious ceremonies, but this is just a guess. Ultimately, we have no idea. What's even more interesting is that if you took all the lines and put them together end to end, they would reach over 16,000 kilometers. That's insane. We may never know the true meaning behind these lines, but their impact will live on for many years to come as we continue to investigate them in the coming decades. In reality, our world is filled with far more questions than answers. While many of these mysteries may unravel themselves in due time, one thing is clear: we may never truly know everything there is to know about the world around us and the people who used to live here. Alright folks, now it's your turn. Do you believe that a highly developed civilization existed millions of years ago? Or do such assumptions only belong to the wild imagination? Let us know your thoughts, suggestions, and feedback on today's video in the comments below. If you liked today's post, please give us a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell to stay up to date from now on. Thank you for your interest. Have a good one, and see you next time.